Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a different one for this series. We're actually going to be working on a bit of UI art. Now this is mainly just getting the UI set up. We're going to make it a bit more animated and a bit more clean later in episodes. But for now we are simply just going to be doing a way where we can just simply toggle the UI on and off to see it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a new health widget. So obviously if we go in game, we've got a health widget, health widget in the bottom left, which is 600. Now, obviously 600 is a bit of a random number, and you can't really keep track on what body part is low and which body part isn't. So we're going to create a system where we've got a human figure in the top right or something like that, and it will have each individual limb, and it will change to red the more damaged you are. Now we're going to be using something called a lerp, which is a linear interpolation, which basically, instead of something being linear, so it going straight from one to the other, like point A to point B, it will kind of smooth it out so it doesn't happen too quick. So for example, say you want to set a variable from 0 to 1, instead of it just jumping 0 to 1, it will go all the way through the digits till it gets to 1. If that makes sense. I hope I explained that right, and chances are I may have even got it wrong because I'm not the smartest. So we're actually going to be using a folder we haven't used yet, finally. So obviously we haven't used blueprints, we haven't used assets, and it's time to use the assets folder. So inside of here we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this one UI assets. I put a space, you're not allowed to put a space. UI assets. We're going to open that up, and then inside this one again we're going to go health assets. So we're keeping all our folders really organized and stuff. But once we load up here, now we need to have, oh, I apologize for that notification, guys. But once we load up here, we need to actually get our widgets. So if you go down in the description, I should have left a link to some Dropbox or whatever I'm going to use. I don't know yet, but I've got a folder called Health UI, as you can see here. And what you want to do is you want to select all of these different ones, and you can select them however you like, and just drag them into the content browser just like so. It'll import them, and they should just come in. Since they are PNGs, they'll go as textures, and you'll see a white background, but don't worry. But go through and save all of them just so we actually keep them saved. And obviously we've got head, left arm, left leg, right arm, right leg, torso. Now, although this one's called the right leg, it's actually the left leg, obviously, because it's going to be a character facing you on the UI, which means it'll actually be the character's left leg, but it just looks like the right leg. That's why I named it like that. But we will set that up as we go in. Now it's actually really easy to get this set up, so let's head back to content, go to UI, and we're going to right click and make a new widget blueprint. So go over to user interface and go to widget blueprint, create a widget blueprint, and do WB underscore, and we'll call this one health icons. We'll call it that for now. That can always be changed in the future. Open it up and drag it in here. Now go to the palette, just like we did last time, and get a canvas panel. Drag that in, and you should have a canvas panel just like so. Now you're going to need an image, so get an image just like so, and drag that in. And obviously it's going to be set up like this. We're going to need to do this another 5 times. So get 1 for each limb, and we'll just drag them in until we have 6 in total. There we go. Now I'm going to go through and rename every single one. So head, torso, that's torso, torso, we'll call this one left underscore arm, we'll call this one right underscore arm, call this one left underscore leg, and we'll call this one right underscore leg. So now we have these renamed and set. We're going to compile and save, and now what we're going to do is we're going to select all of them. We could have actually done this by duplicating. Very silly of me not to do that, but we're going to hold shift and control and drag them up into the top there with the anchor point. So go to the anchor and hold shift and control on the top right one, because we're going to want them near the top right. This will probably be changed in the future, where they'll actually be off screen to start with, and then you'll hold a button, it'll slide in, hold a button and let go of the button, it'll slide out, and it'll move. So if you stop it halfway through, it'll then slide back out. But firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to change all of these widgets to the correct ones. So head will be head, torso will be torso, left arm will be obviously left arm, and so on. So right arm, right arm, and left leg, and right leg. So we now need to actually set up these sizes, just redoing this bit because I realised that they aren't all the same, which absolutely sucks, but I will basically get mine set up and I will then tell you what yours should be. So just give me a minute and I will get mine set up and I will then show you the values that they need to be, so you can just copy and paste them if you need. So guys, the values are a little awkward, but I got them a bit tweaked so they'd work a bit better. Obviously the little man looks very stupid how he is, but these assets will most likely change in the future. These are more placeholder ones for now, just so we can get the UI working and we can understand the logic of it. So for the head values, it's going to be minus 156, 72, 57, 53. Remember the anchor point is in the top right. If it's also not fully right, make sure your alignment is set to 1 and 0. So for the torso, it's going to be minus 134, 124, and 100, 100. For the left arm, it's going to be minus 229, 131, 60, 107. For the right arm, it's going to be minus 79, 131, 60, 107. And for the left leg, it's going to be minus 190, sorry, 216, 50, and 120. And for the right leg, it's going to be minus 128, 216, 50, 120. So again, it looks really scuffed, and it's because it is. So what we actually need to do is we now need to create bindings for this. So to create the binding, we need to go onto each one. So for example, let's go onto head, for example. Let's start the head. Actually, we'll start with the legs because that's what we've actually got working, and we'll just work with those today because we don't have any damage for the other body parts. So go onto the left leg, and if you scroll down, you may see these a bit, these closed up, but you'll see color and opacity under appearance. So just click this little button here like we did in the other widget and go and create binding. This will open up this little node here, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to cast. So if we go to event graph quickly, just go up here and into event graph on construct. So we'll delete these ones. On construct, we're going to cast to BP underscore first person character, and we are going to drag off here and get player character, and then right click and promote to variable, and we're going to call this one for we're going to call it character ref, just like so. Now go back to your function here and drag off of here, and we're going to actually no, we need to drag the character ref in first, sorry, and then we want to get so because this one's named left leg, it's actually the right leg that's being damaged, so we're going to call get right, so we'll get health, but we'll get right leg health. Then we will divide, and we're going to need to have this value, so we're going to try avoid magic numbers in this because we may use this one later. It's just the images that are getting changed. Go on to new variable up in the left, and we're going to call this one max health. Now we don't really need to have it too worried, but change it to a float and compile and save just so we can actually edit this, and we're just going to set it to 100. The reason we're setting it to 100 is because obviously with our other health values, max health is obviously 600. So you'd think, okay, maybe we use 600. But if you go to the limb health, they're all 100. And that's what we're actually getting for. So drag that max health in, and you're going to have right leg health divided by max health. Now drag over this pin here and call a lerp linear color. So it'll look like this. And we're going to now right click and promote to variable, and obviously this one is linear color, so we're going to call this damage color, and we're going to right click and promote to variable and call this one healthy, oh if I can spell, healthy color. So you now have two, healthy color and damage color, but we need to set these. So if we go to damage color, just click on this down here and set it to fully red, just like so. Make sure this bar's also all the way up or it'll just appear as black. And for healthy color, we're just going to appear that on white, so it's fully white, so it's exactly the same. So With the color overview, it will still be grey even if you set it to a different color, unless you set like blue, for example. So we can do green, but then that will create some weird little colors. Now all we have to do is plug that into the return value, and we'll compile and save. And before we test this, what we'll do is we'll go to our designer again. We will select the right leg this time, even though it's technically the left one. We'll create a new binding, create binding, just like so. Drag this out a little bit, go back to this one, drag this, just enter that, put it in there, and then we'll just delete this and get health, and we will get the left leg health. Plug that into there. Now we've got this working, but obviously if you remember, we need to actually add this viewport, or add this to viewport on the start. So obviously on begin play, we cast all widgets and add viewport to screen. So we're going to create another one. So we're going to just drag off of this. We're going to drag here and call create widget. And we're going to call the health icons widget, or whatever you named yours. Right click off the return value, promote to variable, and we're going to call this one WB underscore health icons, just like so. And we can now drag this comment out a little bit just so it stays all neat and tidy. And under this one, we're going to do the same thing. So we'll grab the, let's put this into the category first. So we're going to call this one widget cast, and we're going to drag this in just like so, and we're going to add to viewport. Now I think you can connect these in here, but I do want to have it just a little bit more organized, so then we don't have to, so say we have them all connected, we disconnect because we need to do another thing, then we'll have to reconnect all the ones we want to actually keep. So then we play, and we have an issue. Not quite sure why this is happening, so just give me a second, I'll try to figure that out. So guys, I found the issue. The issue was we actually have the opacity down to 0. So when we create these variables, just go back down, and you'll see this one's a bit checkered out. It will look like that. You want it to look all the way. So go to alpha, so the A on the color picker, and just set that to 1. Do that for both of those, just like so. Now we'll go back in, and hopefully, there we go, we can now see. So I also, while testing this in my free time, I realized if you jump off this, sometimes it can damage. Now you can see very slightly there's now a tint to that character, and the more you jump, the more tint it gets. So just like so. Now you can see it slowly gradually builds up with the more damage you have. But let's say we go from up here, where we were testing our full damage before, jump off, and boom. Just like that, our legs are now a lot more red. And in case we want to test it even further, just to show what it fully looks like when we jump off a high place, play from here, jump off, and they should both break. Boom, just like that. They're now both broken, and obviously they are fully red. Now that'll help players understand what their damage actually is. In the future, just like these ugly little widgets in the bottom left, we will change the ugly widget in the top right. So guys, that is how we're setting that up. Obviously, future episodes we will connect the health of the head, and we will connect the health of the torso and arms, etc. So we'll do that in a future episode. But guys, that is how you create your health icons. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.